Boobity-doo.
Hey, it's heavyweight MMA, Toby and Bert talking today about Corey Sandhagen versus TJ Tyler Jeffrey Dillashaw. It's pretty exciting having TJ Dillashaw come back after his time off. Will he still be gassed up? Will he be able to perform without his EPO? Very exciting. What are your thoughts, Bert?
So I'm curious if he has been actually doing this his whole career, or if you could actually buy his story of, no, I just did it for this one fight because I needed to get down to fight Cejudo. He was making the argument that he just had to do it this one time, and why would he get caught if he's been doing it his whole career, and they tested his previous B samples. But I don't know. It's kind of hard to believe that you just, at this level, that you just randomly one day decide for this one huge fight, I'm going to do this.
It's true. He's had pretty crazy cardio throughout his career as well. So it's it kind of points to the fact that he could have been using EPO before or other things. There's lots of people talk about it, that the testing in UFC is that you can get around it, right? That it's not rocket science, and it's not that hard to get around if you've got some skills. It's not really foolproof. So
even with the new USADA program,
yeah, there's people talking about it online. I've been listening to it a little bit lately, and yeah, they say it's not as good as people think it is.
I'd be interested to hear that, like how that works, if they're just randomly showing up at any point in the day, like 2 a.m., they just show up at your house and randomly test you, unless they're getting like notified under the radar somehow. Yeah,
I can't remember the argument. It was Gordon Ryan, I think, talking about testing for different things. Yeah. Anyway, let's have a little look at the tail of the tape. So we've got TJ Dillashaw has 20 fights, 16 wins, 4 losses. 2 of them were by KO. His last fight, he lost to Henry Cejudo by KO. That was in 2019. Before that, he beat Cody Garbrandt twice by KO. They were nice wins. I just had a look at them today. He's 35 years old, 168 centimeters tall, or 5'6", 67-inch reach. Training with Dwayne Bang Ludwig at Ludwig Martial Arts, and he does some wrestling with Mark Munoz, apparently. He's a BJJ purple belt and obviously has a wrestling background. Sandhagen, on the other hand, 16 fights, 14 wins, 2 losses, 1 by sub. He did a great jumping knee with Frankie Edgar recently. And also before that, he beat Marlon Moraes with a great spinning heel kick and punches. But he did lose to Aljo earlier by Madaleone. He's 29 years old, so he's got 6 years the junior of TJ. A little bit taller, 180 centimeters and 5'11" versus 5'6". 70-centimeter reach, which it's only a 3-inch reach on paper, but when you add the distance of the height as well, it can make quite a bit of a difference. One big point, I think, for me anyway, is that I was looking, he's trained by Whitman, Trevor Whitman at Elevation Fight Team. This can help a lot for a guy like him coming up. If he listens, he seems like a pretty cerebral sort of guy. So I think if he's listening to Whitman, they're going to come up with a great game plan, I'd imagine. He's a BJJ brown belt. Seems very technical when he gets into the ground situations. Seems very technical. I think from watching him, he seems a lot more high-level BJJ skills than TJ, but I don't know if that necessarily translates to MMA. But he started with kickboxing too, which is kind of a little bit different as well. TJ started with wrestling. This guy started with kickboxing, so a little bit more poly skills in the kickboxing area and stand-up fighting versus someone who's got that wrestling base. Any comments on the tail of the tape?
Well, one thing I noticed today when I was going through Sandhagen's previous fights, I was realizing that everybody kind of seems like a midget compared to him. He's like outreaching them. He's able to stay at a perfect range. And, Aljamain, one person that just bull rushed him, got in, pushed him against the cage, took his back, and he couldn't get him off his back, and he got choked out pretty quickly. So I thought that kind of stood out. But, yeah, as far as his grappling and stuff goes, it seems like he gets taken down a bit fairly easily. But he does have good scrambles and movement on the ground, but it's really more of a jiu-jitsu scramble style rather than wrestling scramble. So it'd be interesting to see if Dillashaw does that aggressive style that Aljamain did and pressures him and goes in for takedowns, how his scrambling ability will work, or if it'll get shut down like Aljo, because Dillashaw's, at least credential-wise, is a higher credentialed wrestler than Aljamain was.
Yeah, watching him against Asuncao and also Aljo, they both got his back as well. Like, he seems to pretty easily give up the back position. And watching him, do you feel like, for me, it looks like he's a kickboxer half and a jiu-jitsu fight or the other, and he hasn't blended them together as much yet. He seems to hit the ground. He turns into a technical BJJ fighter. Almost looks like he forgets about like strikes and things when he's down there. A little bit too technical, I think, at this point for MMA. He doesn't seem to be working on just controls, and there's a lot of opportunities for striking that he looks like he's missing. Like he's not setting things up with strikes. From what I've watched today, anyway.
Yeah, and I think it was against Asensal in between one of the rounds. I can't remember which one, but his coaches were saying, "Hey, you need to stop playing the grapple game. Start striking when you get on the ground, because what, like you're saying, he disconnects one from the other, it seems like, and he gets down there and he turns into, okay, now I'm a grappler."
Yeah.
And then
True.
and then with that, you say he gives up his back easier. You know, John Lineker towards the end of their fight, I think it was the third round, the very end of their fight, he got cracked, gave up his back really quickly, and was getting choked. And, you know, luckily there was only like 10 seconds left on the clock and it wasn't able to sink it in. But he does give up his back. And each one of those times he's gone to the ground, he's given up his back. But he does have scrambling ability to where he's able to get out of it with most of those guys.
True. Hey, we'll have a quick look at that footage that I had of him. So we're going to have a little look at his knockout of Edgar and just a bit of his movement. Only a short clip. Yeah, so just a quick piece of showing his basic explosiveness with a knee anyway to Frankie Edgar. Beautiful knockout early in the fight. Took Edgar out of the picture. The next setup is just showing how he moves around, like how he's a moving target, lots of feints, some long-range strikes. Okay with that front kick. Okay with leg kicks as well, and long, straight sort of punches. Yeah. So you would say that what would you say are his strengths at the moment for Sandman?
I've got a bit mixed feelings, but I'm feeling like because he mixes up the striking and kicks so much, it's almost, I don't know what the statistics are, but it seems pretty even. Like he's throwing almost as many kicks as he is punches, maybe a downgrade a little bit. But I think if he's mixing those up and he's able to stop Dillashaw's movement, because I do think Dillashaw has really good movement as well. If he's able to land those kicks from the outside because of his length, I think it could slow down Dillashaw. But I'm also curious because of Dillashaw's 2-year layoff. It didn't seem like those calf kicks were as prevalent at that time when Dillashaw went out. And if this is going to be a little bit of a different experience for him and he's going to take some shots that he's not used to taking, because, you know, someone might say, oh, at this high level, they're not going to see anything new. But we've seen time and time again when guys get that calf shot and they say, I've just never felt anything like that before. It never hit me in that way before. And in the last couple of years, we've heard that quite a bit from high level guys. So I'm curious if he can kind of change the momentum of the fight by lighting up Dillashaw's legs.
Yeah. Yeah, like you mentioned, I think he's got great lateral movement around the cage. He's got great high kicks as well, high kicks and low kicks. Lots of single shots to kind of interrupt the rhythm of his opponent, which is not bad. The other thing too is Dillashaw kind of seems most of his shots are full power. Sandhagen likes to use like just the jab, just the distance, and to distract the person along with feints. It seems quite effective. Just like dropping out a light jab to set up other movement and other shots. So I think that's something that he might be able to use to interrupt the rhythm of TJ as well. He's good at body shots, throw some beautiful body shots, mixing it up between kicks, punches, and body shots. And of course, his knees are not too bad. Obviously, he's getting quite technical in jiu-jitsu as well, just whether or not he can actually use that. Any comments on his weaknesses at all?
Like I said, I think if Dillashaw really pressures him and goes against the cage and he wants to play the wrestling game, I think that Dillashaw can almost guarantee himself a win by doing that and play that top control game. Because from what I've seen, I don't think the types of scrambles that he does work great against wrestlers, but I do think they work good with that style of jiu-jitsu flow. So, you know, I could be completely wrong on this, but against Dillashaw, I don't think that those scrambles that he does some of those weird roll throughs and gives that sacrifices his back. I just don't think you can do that against a wrestler as much.
Yeah. And what would you say about the clinching too? Because I felt like just against the cage, its clinching looked a little bit weak too, a little bit suspect. And again, that was against the jiu-jitsu guy, Sunsao.
Yeah. Didn't he controlled a Sunsao on the cage, didn't he? But it didn't seem like he was able to take much advantage of it.
Yeah,
if I'm
exactly. It
remembering
looked a
correctly.
bit too much space and a little bit weak and not really gaining much advantage in that position.
Yeah. It seems like against a guy like a Sensao, he should be able, especially like as a kickboxer. I know they're not clinching in kickboxing, but it would seem like it would translate well that he would be able to really dominate that position against a Sensao. And he wasn't. He was able to control it, but he didn't do much from that position.
And the other thing I kind of noticed watching, I feel like Sandhagen comparatively is not as explosive. I think he looks like a little bit more slow twitch muscle fiber. Like the way he moves is not really explosive. Of course, a little bit he can jump into a knee, etc. But I think that's more timing than explosiveness. He just seems a beat behind someone like TJ, especially probably in the first round. So I think that's probably a little bit of a negative to him. So what would you say are his keys to victory against Dillashaw?
You know, I do have this little fading thought in the back of my mind of I'm going to call a potential victory for him, which could be Dillashaw likes to do this little this ducking kick that he does. I don't know if it's because he's not flexible or if he's purposely maybe he's trying to throw it off by looking like he's going one way, so he ducks his head far to the right and then throws up the left kick.
Yeah,
I feel like because of Sandhagen's style and his movement, he could time that perfectly and crack Dillashaw right in the face because I feel like Dillashaw does that frequently. So I think as a really specific call, I think he could land that head kick and mess up Dillashaw, but I don't think it's going to happen. That would be
that's a good way of sitting on the fence.
Yeah. I don't think it's going to happen, but I do
It
want to
could
say
happen.
it in case it happens and I can be like, dude, I called it. But no, I think he keeps his range, lights up the legs, uses his movement. And if he can turn it into a bit of a brawl, I know that's maybe sounds like a bad idea because when Garbrandt turned it into a brawl, he got knocked out and TKO'd. But I do think Sandhagen has a higher chance of once it turns into a brawl with his range over Dillashaw.
Yeah, I think I got the same sort of feeling with keeping at a distance, probing, staying just out of range. He's not bad at maintaining that range, using it. One thing I was watching against Dillashaw as well, that's if you stomp kick, like he's very heavy on his lead leg when he attacks, like really heavy on it. I think that calf kick could be used, and I'm pretty sure Whitman would be telling him to use it. And if he learns to stomp, or if he does a stomp, I never saw Sandhagen do it, but that stomping on the knee as they come in wouldn't be a bad one for Dillashaw as well. And I think low kicks to slow down TJ. I think he's got to be a little bit manage the distance a bit and do some damage from a distance for the first 1 or 2 rounds, I would say, because TJ is very explosive. He could sneak in there and shoot something. And I think he has to disrupt his timing. If you watch Dillashaw, he stands. I'll show you a bit of footage in a second. He kind of stands waiting. It looks like he has to have that little break in timing so he can attack. Obviously, in exchanges, he's not too bad, but he looks like he waits and he pauses and then he goes like he needs that timing. So if you can constantly break that timing, I think you might have some success as well.
Yeah, well, I think he's trying to drop, you'd know better than me, but it seems like he's trying to draw people in and then like he reacts once they get in. And I think with Sandhagen, that's something he's going to do because of that range difference. He's going to try to draw him in and then react off of that to get on the inside to land and then get back out or go right into takedowns off of that, which I think would likely be the smartest situation just to see how it goes in the first round. But I don't know.
Okay, let's jump to Dillashaw, and I'm gonna show another quick clip. This clip is just a couple of pieces from his Garbrandt fight, the number 2 Garbrandt fight. So it'll show him knocking him down in the exchange, and then finally dropping him to finish the fight. 1 second. Okay, as you see, they're exchanging firepower to each other, and Dillashaw cracks him with a big right hook, drops Garbrandt. Now he's about to take him out again, stalking. You just watch the way he stands back. He pauses for a second before he comes in. He pauses and stops and thinks about it, then attacks. I feel it might be something that Sandhagen can take advantage of that pause by just disrupting it. Anyway, obviously he punches very hard. Can he get past the reach of Sandhagen? Let's see. So for Dillashaw, man, what would you say are his strengths?
I think he's got. I mean, this might sound a little bit backwards because Sandhagen's a kickboxer, but it feels to me like Dillashaw's hands have the advantage, but Sandhagen has the overall advantage because he mixes up so well with the kicks. And I don't think Dillashaw's as versatile in that area. But definitely an advantage, I think, as far as the grappling goes. As far as controlling the grappling, getting top position and takedowns, I think he can easily get takedowns if he wants to. And when he gets in the inside, I think heavy pressure and potentially going for a takedown early, seeing how it works, maybe wearing on Sandhagen a little bit, and then in the later rounds, maybe round 3, start doing more of the striking game once Sandhagen's worn a little bit.
Yeah, agreed. I think he seems so explosive, Dillashaw, especially like I said in the first 1 or 2 rounds. I think after that he kind of gets a bit more flat-footed and settles a little bit. But in the start he moves around so much. It's going to be interesting to see them clash because they both move so much. He switches stance so well, and he's kind of been unpredictable with lots of feinting as well. But they're both going to do that switching of stance, and they both kind of do that feinting a lot. So it's going to be a little bit strange that first round. And as you mentioned, his wrestling, I think he's got a chance of getting a takedown also because of the build of Sandhagen. It doesn't seem like he's really, it's not so easy for him to defend takedowns because of his long, skinnier build in comparison, right?
Yeah, the other guys that he's gone against which I don't think there are at TJ's level, they were each able to get takedowns without too much of a struggle. And it does seem like, he jumps into that jiu-jitsu mode a little bit too fast. Maybe he's giving up those takedowns because he jumps into grappling mode and says, he's comfortable going down to his back. And so that might be part of the problem. He doesn't really have that defensive wrestling style where he's going to fight and defend a takedown for however long. Or maybe it's more exhausting and he doesn't want to waste his time doing that.
True. And what do you think are his weaknesses, Dillashaw?
For Dillashaw, I think Dillashaw's really well-rounded. I think that he has a way to win the fight in every position here, but I do think that his biggest weakness will be whether or not Sandhagen can take his legs away. But I think he's got a speed advantage. I think the technical advantage switches back and forth depending on if it's kicks or punches, but overall, I guess Sandhagen because he can mix it up a little bit better. But I think Dillashaw's speed and the way he can get in and out quicker, I think he has an overall advantage. But I'm really curious to see how Sandhagen can work the legs. So
yeah,
I don't know. I'm obviously sitting on a fence and flopping back and forth.
Now, obviously, I had the same sort of thing that in the fight against the Sun Sao, he seemed to be getting his legs smashed a little bit, and I think that's something he's going to take advantage. His hands are very low too, and against someone who's kind of a fast kicker, I would say some of his kicks seem almost as fast as his hands from Sandhagen, which isn't incredibly fast, but it's quite fast. And so with your hands very low, I think there's a chance you could get caught with something like you mentioned about leaning into side to side as well. He definitely leans off to the side for a kick. It's kind of a strange thing, but yeah, you could definitely get caught with that as well. And just like I said, the way he kind of pauses, like he pauses and stops and then he blitzes forward, it kind of almost seems like a giveaway. I think it's unpredictable on the blitz, but he's pausing before it. So that's, if he's getting that disrupted, can he actually blitz? Probably if someone's doing a little probing jab to the head or kicking his leg at the same time, maybe not. He also seems to slow down a little bit, I think, after the first and second. Yeah.
Yeah, I do think, yeah, to your point, when he does that little freeze thing, I'd be interested to see the range against all the guys that Dillashaw has fought compared to Sandhagen's, because I think that he has the advantage on the range. And so, like you're saying, yeah, I think when he goes to do that pause and he feints back a little bit, Sandhagen could just sit right in the range that he wants to and just keep popping the jab. So, like
I
you're
can't
saying,
remember exactly. I think it was the Sun Sao fight. They said virtually identical for everything. So they're like for everything versus whatever. So I think his reach was similar on that one. So yeah, so he didn't have that difficulty of getting past the reach. So what's the keys to victory for TJ?
The keys to victory for TJ: aggression, press forward. I would say look at that Aljo fight and just do that exact same thing. Just pressure in, get to the inside, use his wrestling, push on the cage, take him down. See if he can get his back. If he can, great. If he can't and it doesn't work out, he just controls him the first round. Okay, you know you can control him. If it doesn't work out, then go up and start and work in that strategy on your feet. But I think the first thing I would try is see what can I do on the ground, because I do think there's a huge advantage as far as his ability to control on the ground.
Yeah, I feel like because of his explosiveness in the first round, and it'll be a little bit messier before Sandhagen gets his measure. I think he should attack hard and do some blitzes in the first round. I think he's got a chance of a KO just because he seems remarkably faster and his feet actually move like very well in the first round. And like you said, I think pressure and movement in his attacks are the key as well, and wrestling that pressure and ground and pound, etc.
I mean, one X factor here is Dillashaw sneakily got this EPO situation going on, or is he, I assume he's completely clean now. Is there going to be a difference? I was watching a video of him training the other day. He's looking a lot thicker than he was looking before. So I don't know. His different body type could definitely make a difference in his ability to speed and get in and out. And I don't know. I'm curious to see, can he keep that? Everything I've said is based on his ability to keep this abnormal, inhuman pace that he normally keeps. And so
true.
I'm interested to see that.
True. And you got to wonder, like, if you're taking something like, let's say he was taking it for a couple of years, then the lack of confidence mentally and everything to be coming back and fighting without it, thinking I better be careful now. Is he going to be the same man mentally? He might think that he's lost the edge. He might feel weaker.
Yeah. And he's had, I guess, 2 shoulder surgeries last year. So that'll be interesting to see. He says he's better than ever and stronger than ever and faster than ever, but who doesn't say that? So
yeah, there's some people saying he's going to come back better than ever because he's had so much time to train. But was he training, or is he just feeling sorry for himself? You don't know, right? You don't know what he was doing.
Yeah, you can only go off what he says, and everybody says what they want to say before the fight. So, and then afterwards, it's like, well, actually, my training camp was really bad.
So when I was having a look at them, I started to think, man, the explosiveness of TJ, can he catch him in the first round? And I was really thinking that might be my call. But I think looking further into it, the guy, Sandhagen, I think he's going to use tactics as well. I was watching a bit of training by Whitman. He's pretty clever, man. I think he's going to think of the right strategy. And I think that strategy will be sticking to the outside, avoiding those blitz attacks, disrupting his rhythm, attacking the legs, and then working for some more, like moving forward a bit more with the striking in round 2 or round 3 to try and take him out. That's what my feeling will be. And I'm sure with that wrestling, they would also have been obviously training some defense and maybe submissions for wrestling attacks as well, right?
I mean, I would hope so. But I mean, it's like, how much energy do you want to put into this? Because if they don't believe his wrestling is up to par, it's like, well, we've got so much defense. If he beats your first line of defense or your second line of defense, maybe you just give up the takedown and you start doing jiu-jitsu defense because they say, oh, our jiu-jitsu is better. He's not going to submit us. So just minimize damage and use that time to see when you get an opening to get back to your feet. So if somebody's that much better wrestler than me, I'm not going to waste my time trying to fight off the fourth line of defense when I know I'm going to just blow my energy.
Yeah. So for me, anyway, my final call is going to be a KO for Sandhagen. And it could be a variety. He's strong with punches. He's strong with knees. He's strong with kicks. So I think just KO. I'm going KO for Sandhagen somewhere after the first round. You?
Somewhere after the first round. Okay. That leaves a really big opening.
Oh, well, I think probably second or third. I'll say second or third.
That kind of throws me off because this whole talk, I felt like you were just like on the Dillashaw train with me. I thought we were like vibing. I thought we had a connection. And now you just flipped it and like threw it in my face. So I'm a little upset about that. I'm going with Dillashaw probably round 3, maybe probably TKO.
But he's tired by round 3. What's he going to do? He's too tired. Flat.
Well, I'm assuming he's still on EPO.
They got it in his water bottle after he's got in the ring.
Yeah, I mean, we'll know after round 1. Maybe we'll see. I'm sticking with it. This is my feeling. I'm not going to switch it just because you're pressuring me.
And that would be the common thread that Bert bets on the wrestler to win. What is it with the wrestlers and Bert? I'm not sure. Could it be the wrestler?
I'll add the asterisk that if Sandhagen wins, it's from a left kick to Dillashaw's forehead while Dillashaw is ducking into his right, trying to throw his left kick. But
he also does that with the right leg as well. He leans to the left when he kicks with his right as well. So it depends which side he's throwing with, right?
Yeah, I guess either way, yeah. That's just a really dangerous way. He ducks his head right into a perfect kick. So yeah, I could see that lighten him up.
You should potentially go and work with Trevor Whitman with your deep insights of stand-up.
Well, he called me last week. He asked if I would come work with them so I could share some of my knowledge, and I just told him like it would not be fair for the other team. So
You couldn't go against the wrestler, right?
Yeah.
Hey, another thing, did you listen to Sandhagen's interview with Joe Rogan recently?
No. Like
Really
after
good,
a
man.
fight, or he came on the podcast?
He was on the podcast. Very interesting. He's he's a very cerebral sort of fighter. He like talks a lot about his preparation, how he's changed things now to be more prepared to go to war and be ready to do the things he needs to do. Like he felt like before he had some mental obstacle. It's a game of inches, but
It is a game of inches. But someone's going to comment that I'd listen to you guys, but you said cerebral instead of cerebral.
no, that's how we say it in Australia. Cerebral.
Oh,
You
cerebral.
say cerebral. No, that's what I've heard. I know.
All right. Well, in what he's in, like he's like laid back, like touch buck in the park, or what? What do you mean?
He's just been working on his fight psychology about being ready to do serious damage. Like he's going in there. You look at him, like he's a pretty relaxed sort of guy. You see him when he goes into the ring now, watch him stomping backwards and forwards, looking super psyched, really. But the funny thing is, I was watching too. TJ also does that. So it's gonna be kind of funny to watch it start. These two are gonna be like pacing backwards and forwards, looking at each other. It's gonna be sort of funny, while they're itching to smash each other.
We select winners based on if they stomp is when they get into the octagon.
Of course, that's how it's based. That's how they win.
Awesome. Now that I know that, I have to change my picks.
We're going to be out now. Thanks for your opinions today. Good to have you all back in spirit this time.
I got an extra glass of wine in.
Awesome. All right, man. Talk to you soon.
Peace out, Holmes.